Good morning, everybody. It is a Paulette stash?
Sew Your Stash.
Sew Your Stash Monday. And she has a new project, so I'll just give you a little bit of a sneak peek here. It's this one here, which looks really intense, but this is the same quilt, the same blocks made into this one. That's just how you put it.
Show that later?
Yeah. With the other one over there. We'll show the other one later. Okay. So Paulette is going to give us a little bit of a lesson on how that you make these blocks and how that you place them out to get the different designs. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Take it away, Paulette.
So our block is just a simple 9-patch block, and you can use the same color within the block, or you can use 2 different colors within the block. So if you want to make it more scrappy, you can use 2 different ones, or you can just do this. This quilt here has blocks made like this with 1 color in the same block. So here's the block here, and you're just twisting and turning them to make this particular design. And you might look at this when you first see it and you see all these hashtags, or you might sort of see the circle thing going on. So I called it amazing because kind of like a maze, when you first look at it, you've got all these ways to get out or not to get out. And and this one actually is finished and quilted, so.
Woo, she's
on me.
She's a little bit impressed with herself over that one.
Yeah.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her.
So this one has a common background for all of the blocks. So you can see that this light color is my background. And when you sew the block, they're 9 inches finished. So these are cut 3.5 inches. So you need 3 background squares, and you need 4 rectangles that are 3.5 by 2 inches cut. So these are 3.5. These are 3.5 by 2. So you need 4 of these, 3 of these, and 4 of these. For the design part, you'll need 2 3.5 inch squares, and 4
like the little rectangles.
Little rectangles, right. If you're doing the 2-color one like this, then you will only need 1 of these squares and 2 of these rectangles, and then another square and 2 rectangles. So if you're doing this one, you'll be cutting that.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to take those down, and it's a very, very simple 9-patch block. So you're going to lay out your background pieces in a diagonal like this from left to right. Oh, where's my other square?
It fell on the floor, I think.
Oh, well, I have a spare.
Okay, because I was going to say, I'm not going to film her going down on the floor, you guys.
So those are my background pieces. You can see it runs this way on the block.
Okay.
And then you're going to lay out your little colored pieces. So you're going to put one in that corner, and you're going to put the other one in this corner. And then you've got your little, I kind of think of this like little tadpoles or little frogs or something with little legs on the back. So here's the body and here's the little legs. So here's the other little leg for this guy. And here's the legs for this guy. And this. And then the other background pieces are filling in those spaces. So you can see there's one unit, there's another unit, and there's that one. So this is, you can sew these little rectangles together. So I just did that in a long little strip here. So I've got 2 of one color and 2 of another color. You can press either direction, it doesn't matter, because in the unit, this seam here doesn't butt up against anything that we have to match.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you have a dark background, you can press towards the dark. If you have a light background, you can press the other way. So this seam here doesn't matter which way you press. So you're going to sew your small rectangles together along the long side so that you end up with 4 to be able to make those units. And what do I need? Another little rectangle here. Here we go. Okay, so now we have our 9 little pieces for our 9 patch, and we're going to sew them into rows. So there's our row, and our second row so is like that.
Okay.
And the last one
Gosh, it looks a whole lot more complicated than it actually is.
Oh yes, it's very simple, and you actually can play with the design quite a bit after you have the blocks made.
Now, which way do
There
you
you
press your seams on the like when you're sewing the rows together?
So these, when I sew them together, so when I sew, and they're laid out, I sew this piece to this piece. So I'm always working from the left to the right. So when I sew this piece to this piece, and then I sew this piece to this piece, so that I have this long row, and I'm pressing these towards the outside. There's a seam here, but there's no seam here, so it's easier to press it towards the outside. This one I press towards the inside because it
just naturally wants to go there.
And it will help me nest these little spots when I go there. And this one again is pressed towards the outside. Then when I get to the end, because I have to sew those long pieces together, I press those towards the inside.
Okay.
So on 2 sides, they're pressed towards the outside, and the other 2, they're pressed towards the inside. And that way, if you have to rotate a block or something, they're going to nest together.
Okay.
You're going to be able to get them.
So I guess the big thing is that, be consistent on each block, which way you're pressing, so that you can move things around. Because otherwise you're going to be, just a month of Sundays trying to repress in opposite directions. And oh my gosh, it'll drive you half mad. Okay.
So this bigger quilt, I did add a little extra border of the background fabric, just so the little design is floating inside.
Okay.
And then I have a narrow border here because I loved this border print that I used. It's not a border print. I used it in the border.
It's gorgeous.
And I have to admit, when you look at the whole quilt together, I did pull out of my scraps a few things that I thought really lived nicely with this. So it kind of has a little bit of a warm feeling. Yeah. And that's because this border, I played a little bit with the scraps.
Okay, so this one down here, the baby one, this is where it's put on point.
Yes, so you're taking your block that you would have had here, and you're going to put it on point. So this little quilt comes out 44 by 44. You do need some setting triangles here and on the corners, and I just have a small border on it. But you only need 13 blocks to do that little quilt.
That would look really cute in the Tilda fabrics. You could easily do that, right?
Yeah, for sure. And
that'd be really cute.
I've used just sort of pinky ones and then bluey ones and yellow, just to kind of, it helps your eye see the design because the colors are all the same. This one, I think because these little bits are bunched together, you kind of see the design. There's enough there that it's not too shattered. And then we're going to show you a quilt that has a dark background.
Going past Coral's area.
Yeah.
Coral's got her work cut out for her today. Okay.
So this is exactly the same block. So here we are. And this one has a dark background, so it's kind of a greeny blue, and I used oranges and greens in it, and just played with the design a bit.
And it's offset a little bit. It's not...
No, it's not in the center.
Oh, that's right. It's like, oh my goodness, because I have a tendency to try to make everything perfect, right? And this looks way more attractive. Like, it's more interesting, right?
Yeah, and I think it's, it's a little bit modern because it's asymmetrical. And it's, you know, not predictable, even though it is a block-based quilt. And again, you can play around with your blocks where you're going to put them. Sometimes what I did was, like, these two greens here are very similar, very limey green. So it's a good place to put it where you want to kind of accentuate that color there. So, or that, you know, arc that's forming there. But again, I did an extra little border beyond the design and a narrow border before I put on the final border.
Yeah.
And these are all from my stash. I just had to dig. But, you know, if you're doing two like this, you just need one 3.5-inch square and one actually 4 by 3.5 inch, because you're going to cut it in half. And you probably be
wow,
able to,
that is gorgeous.
Yeah,
just beautiful. So a really simple quilt to do, but very effective.
Yep, lots of options, and you get to play a little bit and use up some of your stash.
Yeah, this is one of the projects that you've shown that, to me, the 3 different versions that you've shown are so completely different.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're playing with the same.
It's the same block. It's just where you put it and where your colors go. Are you having a light background or a dark? Very interesting. Okay, Paulette, thank you very much. And we have the patterns available in the store, or you can email me at info@fabricshelf.ca, and we also have the patterns in the store for you. I think I said that, didn't I?
You did.
I did. Okay, so there you go. So I'm not being pushy, but they're in the store.
Come and see us. They're here.
Okay, everybody have a great day, and we're going to see you in 2 weeks on Monday morning for the Paulette